Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. We're just here changing some drive shaft boots on a 120 Prado. So it's pretty well more or less the same job on a 120 and a 150 Prado. You can see this one here is the one that's split open. Okay. The reason it's split is it's an aftermarket boot. Okay, so it's an aftermarket. It's just rubber. It's not that, the hard kind of plastic poly type ones the genuine ones are. I highly recommend you stick with genuine boots, particularly on the outside. The rubber one on the inside might be okay, but look, definitely on the outside, 100% stick with those. So we're going to run through a few of the steps. I might not get everything because we're busy here getting the work done, trying to do the job, but I'm going to give you as much information as we can to help you out if you want to have a crack at doing this yourself. Obviously we've got the vehicle raised and the wheels off is the first step. The next step is to remove the bash plates and drop the oil out of the front diff, because it's going to get messy. You're going to lose some anyway. It's only about 1.5 litres, so it's not a lot of oil. So you might as well get those bash plates off and drop the oil out, and we'll come back to you with the next step after you've done that. So we got the bash plate off and the oil's draining. One of the next steps is removing the dust cap. Okay, now the best thing, I think I may have mentioned this in another video, can be hard to get off. They seal really well. These ones are sitting out about 1 millimetre, so they won't be as bad as usual. Obviously they've been off before for whatever reason, not by me. In behind there's a split pin and a 35 millimetre nut, so you need a large socket for that. So you can take the cap off, take the pin out, loosen off that nut. Then in behind here, you've got to try and give you the right components here. Drive shaft. Probably the easiest way is to disconnect the sway bar at the top. So that's 17mm behind there. I'd probably take the whole sway bar off because we'll get it out the way, because a couple of 14mm down here and the whole sway bar's out of the way. I would probably say tie rod in here, take the tie rod end out, so the split pin, the 19mm socket. Generally you give it a bit of a smash with a hammer about there, not anywhere else. Don't miss, don't hit the thread, don't hit the rubber boot, just there. Right, and that'll pop loose and pop out. You can get pullers and stuff for that. We've used those before, and it just pulls the threads when they're stuck really badly. So the hammer is the go, believe it or not, but you need to be very careful how you do it. Once you've got that loose, if you take out these two 19mm bolts down the bottom here, so one in the center of the picture right now and the other one over this side, not the one in the middle, then this assembly here, the whole steering knuckle, you'll be able to lift it away to get that off the drive shaft. But you don't necessarily need to do that, because you need to get the drive shaft out, right? And here's the drive shaft. I find the best way is with a really big hammer and a really big chisel. Get in, we're going to pretend the light I'm using is a chisel for a minute, and on an angle like this with your chisel, so from over this side, kind of give it a good smack, and it's enough to pop the clip that retains that drive shaft in the diff. As soon as that pops and moves about 5mm, obviously you're not going to have a big mess of oil because we've drained the diff oil. That's what's happening right now. And then you'll be able to pull the rest of this assembly back, unhook that off the drive shaft before you go too far with it. Get your assistant to hold it out of the way. We'll try and show you in this video, but it might not work out. And then you can carefully lift the drive shaft out of the diff without damaging the seal, or you may just want to change the seal anyway. I'm more of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's nothing wrong with it. Just give it a bit of a clean and a lube. And because if you change it, the new seal will leak because you get dirt in there, and if you don't change it, it'll leak because you didn't change it. So look, you can't win anyway. I think they call it Murphy's Law or something. But anyway, if it ain't broke, no need to change it. No leaks here. Generally these only leak if they do get a lot of mud and dust in them. Generally if it's all dirty around here and you hit it with a pressure washer and you actually push the dirt in that gap there, because see these, they go in and out a bit like that, right? And that's just like an outer guard to stop stuff getting in there. If it gets into the seal, that's when you'll have a leak, and sometimes cleaning it even will stop the leak. So as long as you've got it clean, you don't drag that shaft out over the seal and damage it. You shouldn't need to change it. If you're the kind of person that wants to just change it, go ahead and change it. They're about 20 or 30 bucks each, and they are different left and right, and we may even have the part numbers for you later in the video. So we'll get on with those stages and hopefully show you how it's done. Hey guys, so just giving you an update to what's been undone. So I've got Scott here, a really good friend of mine. He's doing this work in his own vehicle with a bit of guidance, and where it's at the moment, so the sway bar's off. He said, oh, I think last time I did it without taking the tie rod ends off at this end, so that's good. Look, that's generally what I do, just gives you a little bit more movement. There's no absolutes about any of this. You could possibly even do it without taking the sway bar off, but sometimes taking a couple extra things off makes it a bit easier. So the underneath bottom two bolts are out, the sway bar's off, this is still on, and obviously that allows enough movement to get this off this end of the drive shaft. So the next step is he's going to go underneath and pop that inner drive shaft clip, as I explained earlier, with a chisel and the big hammer. And once that pops, I'll come and hold this end for him. We'll bring this end off the drive shaft, and then bring the whole drive shaft out and do our little repair before we put it back in. So Scott's got the shaft here, that came out all right. I gave him a bit of a hand to hold the rotor and the hub assembly out of the way. Got the outer out, and then he popped the inner out, got it all apart, cleaned up, re-greased, put the genuine boots on, just got to clean it up a bit, put the new clamps on. It looks pretty messy at the moment, and it gets messy, don't you worry. So your options are to change shafts like this, and you know, change your boots and re-grease and all that, or just get a whole new genuine one. And it's going to need replacing around 300 to 400,000 Ks anyway, generally on the Prados, 120, 150. Okay, so we've got the inner seals all clean and happy and lubed up. Same deal on the one at the other side. Turn you upside down, inside out, back to front to have a look at it. Make sure the spring's sitting in place. And of course, the drive shaft is all recode, ready to go back in with genuine boots. So we're about to do that. Let's get it up here and slot it in. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. I'll hold this out of the way for you, right? And you just gently, mainly be careful of that inner seal and guide it in. Take your time, no hurry whatsoever. Quality, not quantity. All right, get it in, make sure you give it a bit of a twist, the splines will line up. All right. Sorry, with the camera you can't see too much of what's going on because I'm holding this rotor right up here out of the way. And once you think you've got it straight, you can just with your hand give it a good ramming, kind of like, you reckon it's lined up? Yep. You move your hand out of the way and I'll, okay, I got it, I got the whole thing. Bang, she's in. You hold this end again, and I'll bring this around and stretch out the brake light as much as I can without wrecking it. And you guide that in to look after that seal and make that doesn't get hit and the spring doesn't pop out or anything like that. You tell me if I need to pull on it a bit harder or it's in. Okay, so I'll gently, slowly come down. You guide it in. Alright, we'll just give it a bit of a twisty a bit so the splines line up, and that's all in. And I just like to give it a good, make sure it's kind of happy days, as we say. Happy days. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the two bolts from the bottom back in, the two upside down 19 mils that went near the ball joint. We're going to put the nut back on. We're just going to nip it up for now because when it's on the ground, or one of us can put our foot on the brake, we need to torque this nut up, the hub nut, to 235 Newton meters. That's fairly important. Of course, we're going to put the sway bar and everything back on. We'll recap on all of that once we get it all back together. So let's get it back together. Okay, so this side's all pulled apart, same thing. I just want to show you the tap that we're going to give it to pop the clip out of the front diff. Nice big chisel, nice big hammer, and a good solid crack. And I'm just here as an assistant taking some of the weight off the outside of the shaft so that it's got somewhere to go. I'm going to try and hold the camera steady. That's it, that moved a little bit. Couple more of those taps and I think it did anyway. Oh, good catch. That's out, isn't it?
It's out.
Yep, beautiful. So now I've got to put the camera down and I'll hold all this out of the way. And they're all coming out. There you go. Beautiful. That's what you want. Alright. So, those aftermarket boots are shocking, aren't they?
Yep.
Can you pull it out of this thing from that end? Or bit of a pull all the way like that? That's it. Without, remember, careful of that seal on the inside of it there.
Yep.
So try and get that right out, and I'll hold this up out of the way for you.
Yep.
That's it, you're clear.
Yep.
And then you should be able to carefully wiggle that end out without hitting this end. Get the whole shaft out like we did with the other one. But it's always harder when the camera's rolling. Did we have the camera rolling on the other one? Maybe we should have made it harder. That's it. You can give it a bit more of a tap, but that's it. That's it. Gently bring it out and over to the bench, and we'll do the same little rebuild and swap those boots over. Alright, shaft's ready to go back in. I'll get this out of the way for you, hopefully. Just be careful, that seal's the main thing. Do it all nice and slowly. Try not to take my fingers off too.
Oh, sorry.
That's alright. I didn't need them anyway. I'll have to take a month off, can't work. Try and get it nice and square at this end. I'll get my fingers out of the way. Once it's most of the way in, you can give it a bit of a ramming just to lock it in. Bit awkward sometimes depending what position you're in, isn't it? Nice and straight. Yeah, that's it. Just give it a good ramming, that's it. It'll just pop in once it's in. That's it, that's the one. Alright, I'll pull this out so you can hopefully
That's good.
Get that in there. Good, bring it in. Okay. Bit of a wiggle and a jiggle. Just about sticking out this side, yeah. It's good, okay, you know what to do. Sit the nut on the end if you like, put the two bolts in underneath. Happy days. Okay, so we've got the shafts back in, the nuts back on, the upside down 19mm bolts at each side of the ball joint back in, sway bars back on and secured. Just putting oil in the diff. Alright, so we just got the wheels on temporarily. There's different ways to do this. This is how we do it. Wheels on, two nuts just on the ground enough to torque up that centre wheel nut. hub nut, what do you call it, you know, for the wheel bearing. So we'll just put the wheels on with 2 nuts temporarily to, normally I'd have that done zipped up with a rattle gun anyway, but beginner's luck here anyway, it's all good. I've been sort of supervising, helping, but yeah, it's going to take a bit of curry to get it to click. 235 Newton meters. That's the one. Alright, have a look at the other side as well. You can see this one's been leaking a little bit. There was a little bit of surface rust. Probably only a few drops, but coming in past the cap, so it's given a bit of a clean up. Just going to put some grease on all the surfaces and a little, make sure the perimeter's got enough there that, you know, if it was in water, a small amount of grease to help seal it up will stop any further moisture coming in to help prevent the rust. Well, of course, you've got to put the split pins back in too. Just grab the hammer, give it a tap over. Beautiful. Might as well give the bottom one a bit of a bend in too, that's it. Beautiful. Stop going nowhere. How's that cap looking? Looked alright, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually, just that bit of moisture there. Just give the whole surface a really light thing, you know, that way there's no... The grease layer will help protect it from any moisture and any rust. Because there was a bit on the end of the shaft too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Just put a really light smear on everything and then a little bit extra on the perimeter where the cap's going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been because the cap was just sitting back about a millimetre, it wasn't refitted properly last time, got a feeling. Some bloody clown that didn't put it on properly, I don't know. That's what you get, don't you? And I find the best way is a really heavy hammer so that you can do less, look, you know, you get a firmer hit kind of thing. You don't have to hit it as hard, but the weight behind the hammer allows you to, yeah, because if you hit it to little hammer, you're just going to put lots of little dents in it. But the bigger hammer, don't hit the studs. Just nicely on the, that's how I do it. So if you hit it back here, you might dent it. I try and hit it right on the edge, just nicely around here, work your way around. Go right there at the moment, because that's about the centre. There you go. See it slowly work your way around it. Helps if you've got some light and you can see what you're doing. All right. Even better if it's not in your eye. So when you see that grease ooze out, you kind of know it's all the way in. And it's just going to fill any voids there, you know. So it's a delicate balance of not going too far and damaging the cap, but not leaving it too far out. Happy days. It's all right.
It's all good.
Beautiful. As long as it's home. Let's do the other side. Not sure if we missed it at the start of the video, but the best way I've found to get these caps off and not wreck them is to use a wood chisel. I think I might have mentioned in another video, because they're nice and sharp and they've got a nice taper, and you can just gently work your way around slowly. Tap, 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 gentle taps all the way around. And once you get it out, I suppose, you know, that the chisel's not doing anything, then you can get a proper pry bar or something, or whatever you want to use, and just gently work your way around to get the cap off. Just putting the wheels back on. Get your wheel nuts done up nice and evenly, then once they're on the ground, give them a click, 113 Newton meters. Don't forget that final check.